The sky above the colony burned with fire. Dark alien ships hovered like silent shadows. Their engines glowed red as they fired beams of energy at the small human settlement below. Buildings exploded into pieces. Metal walls melted. Smoke filled the air. Sirens screamed across the colony. People ran through the streets, carrying children, supplies, and the wounded. Some hid inside shelters. Others tried to help those trapped under fallen structures inside the repair room. Lyra stood near the doorway. The crystal Ethan had given her still glowed softly in her hand. Every explosion shook the ground. Her training told her to escape. Her species valued survival above all else. If a battle could not be won, retreat was the only logical choice. But her feet did not move. Through the open door, she saw Ethan running across the street. He was helping an older man walk. The man's arm was badly burned. Ethan guided him toward a shelter entrance. A human soldier shouted, "Get inside. We can't hold them back much longer." Ethan nodded and pushed the man inside. Then, instead of following him, he turned around and ran back into the smoke. Lyra stepped outside. The air was hot and filled with dust. Sparks floated like glowing insects. Pieces of metal lay scattered everywhere. Another explosion hit a storage building. The blast knocked Lyra back against the wall. Her ears rang. When her vision cleared, she saw Ethan again. He was digging through debris near a collapsed home. A small voice cried out from under the wreckage, "Help! Please help!" Without thinking, Lyra ran toward him. Ethan looked up, shocked. "You shouldn't be out here." "You are in danger," she said. "You should take shelter." He shook his head. "Not until everyone else is safe." Together, they lifted a heavy metal beam. Under it was a small human child, covered in dust but still alive. The child looked at Lyra with wide eyes. "Are you an alien?" The child whispered. Lyra did not know what to say. Ethan smiled gently. "She's a friend. Come on, let's get you somewhere safe." He picked up the child and ran toward the nearest shelter. Lyra followed close behind as they reached the shelter door. Another blast hit the far end of the colony. A tall communication tower collapsed, crashing into a row of buildings. A soldier rushed toward Ethan. "We're losing power. The defense shields are down. We can't hold them." Ethan handed the child to a medic. "Take her inside." Then he turned back toward the burning streets. Lyra grabbed his arm. "Stop. This battle is lost. You must escape." Ethan looked at her. His face was tired, but his eyes were calm. "If I run now," he said, "who helps the rest?" "You cannot save everyone," Lyra said. "Maybe not," he replied. "But I can save someone." He gently pulled his arm free. Lyra felt a strange tightness in her chest. Another loud explosion echoed nearby. A fuel tank had been hit. Flames shot high into the sky. A group of civilians were trapped near the fire. Ethan saw them. "I have to go," he said. Lyra stepped in front of him. "You will die." He gave a small smile. "Maybe," he said, "but they will live." He placed his hand over the crystal still in her grip. "Remember what I told you?" he said softly. "As humans, try to help." Then he ran into the flames. Lyra stood frozen. Her training told her to leave. Her survival instinct screamed at her to find a ship, any ship, and escape the colony. But her eyes stayed on the fire. Through the smoke, she saw Ethan reach the trapped civilians. He lifted a fallen beam and helped them out one by one. A child, a woman, an old man. Each time he pushed them toward safety. Then a shadow passed over him. An alien fighter hovered above the street. Its weapons charged with a red glow. Lyra's heart pounded. "Run," she whispered, though he could not hear her. Ethan turned just as the fighter fired. A blast struck the ground near him. A force threw him across the street. Debris fell around him. Smoke covered everything. When the dust cleared, the fighter was gone. It had already moved to its next target. Lyra ran forward. "Ethan," she shouted. But when she reached the spot, she saw only broken metal and fire. The street was empty. No movement, no voice. Only silence. Lyra fell to her knees. Kita, the crystal in her hand, pulsed softly as if it still carried his warmth. Around her, the colony burned. Human defenses had fallen. The alien fleet continued its attack. Without mercy, a human transport ship lifted off from the far end of the colony. It was overloaded with survivors. One of the pilots shouted, "Last transport leaving. Anyone still out there? This is your final chance." Lyra looked at the burning streets one last time. Ethan was gone. Slowly. She stood and walked toward the transport. As the ship lifted into the sky, she watched the colony grow smaller below. Her flames covered everything in the reflection of the window. She saw her own eyes for the first time in her life. They were filled with sorrow, and deep inside her chest, a quiet promise began to form. The night above Earth was calm and silent. Stars shined softly over the dark ocean. Cities were glowing like gold lines across the planet. Everything looked peaceful. Then the alarms began. High above the atmosphere, human defense satellites detected something impossible. A black object moved between the stars. It was not a meteor. It was not space junk. It was a ship. The object did not send any message. It did not ask for permission. It moved slowly but directly toward Earth. Inside the alien ship stood Commander Lyra. She was tall, calm, and dressed in dark silver armor. Her eyes glowed faint blue in the dim light of the control room. Warning lights flashed around her. Cold mechanical voice filled the ship. "Warning. You are entering forbidden space. Turn back immediately. Violation will result in execution." Lyra did not move. Her hands stayed steady on the controls. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "For him. I will break every law." On a nearby screen, the symbol of her species flashed red. The Galactic Council had already detected her path. Patrol ships would soon follow. She knew the punishment: exile, public trial, death. Still, she continued. The ship passed through Earth's outer defense grid. Human satellites locked onto her instantly. Military command centers around the world lit up with alerts. Unknown vessel approaching. No response to signals. Possible threat level: extreme. Fighter jets prepared for launch. Naval ships changed course. Missile systems activated. But the alien ship did not attack. It slowed down. It descended gently through the clouds. Below, near the edge of a quiet coastal city, stood a simple human memorial. It was built from white stone. Names were carved into it. Names of soldiers and civilians lost during a past interstellar war. The alien ship landed in the open field beside the memorial. No explosions, no weapons fired. Just silence. Within minutes, human military vehicles surrounded the area. Soldiers stepped out carefully, guns raised, eyes focused. The ship's door opened slowly. A thin mist flowed out. Then Lyra stepped onto Earth. She wore no helmet now. Her face was visible. She carried no weapon. Her hands were empty. The soldiers froze. They expected a monster. Instead, they saw someone who looked almost peaceful. A human commander stepped forward. His voice was firm but controlled. "Identify yourself." Lyra looked at him. Eyes showed no anger. "My name is Commander Lyra of the Virex Dominion," she said clearly. "I did not come to fight." The soldiers tightened their grip on their weapons. Another alarm sounded from a nearby device. More ships were entering. Earth's orbit. Human radar officers shouted through their radios. Multiple alien vessels detected. They are not human. The commander's face hardened. You brought an invasion fleet with you. Lyra slowly shook her head. They came to stop me. Confusion spread among the soldiers. Lyra turned away from them and walked slowly toward the memorial. Stop right there, a soldier shouted. But she kept walking. The commander raised his hand, signaling his men to hold fire. Lyra reached the white stone monument. She looked at the carved names. Her glowing eyes moved carefully across each one. Her breathing changed. From inside her armor, she removed a small crystal device. It glowed with soft blue light. She knelt down, an alien commander, kneeling before a human memorial. The soldiers watched in shock. Lyra placed the crystal at the base of the stone. This world once showed mercy, she said quietly. I came to return honor. Above the clouds, massive alien warships appeared. Dark shapes blocked the stars, their weapons powered up, glowing red in the night sky. Human defense systems locked onto them instantly. One wrong move, and war would begin. The human commander stepped closer to Lyra. You have 30 seconds. To explain, he said. Why are you here? Lyra stood slowly. Her eyes met his. Years ago, she said, a human saved my life. He was your soldier. The commander did not lower his weapon. What was his name? Lyra looked back at the memorial stone. Her voice softened. Ethan Cole. Some of the soldiers exchanged glances. That name was carved into the stone behind her. The commander's expression changed slightly. You are telling me, he said carefully, that you risked war with your own species, just to visit a grave. Lyra nodded once. Yes. Above them, alien warships aimed their weapons at Earth. On Earth, missile systems targeted the sky. Two civilizations stood seconds away from destruction. Lyra lifted her chin and spoke clearly so both sides could hear through open channels. I broke every law of my people to honor the kindness of one human. If punishment must come, let it fall on me alone. Silence filled the air. The wind moved softly across the field. The commander stared at her, searching for lies. He found none. Above the planet, the alien fleet waited for orders. On Earth, human forces waited for a signal. And in the center of it all stood one alien commander, who chose gratitude over fear. The next decision would change the future of both species forever. Years earlier, far from Earth, the war had already begun. Commander Lyra was not a commander back then. She was only a young pilot, proud and loyal to her species. She believed everything her leaders told her. Humans were dangerous. Humans were unpredictable. Humans could not be trusted. That was what she had learned since childhood. Her mission had been simple. Patrol the outer edges of the war zone. Watch for human ships. Report any movement. But war never stayed simple. A sudden explosion shook her small fighter. Red lights flashed across the control panel. A human defense drone had locked onto her without warning. Missiles struck her engines. Her ship spun out of control. Lyra tried to stabilize it, but the controls were dead. Smoke filled the cockpit. The heat grew stronger with every second. Emergency landing initiated, the ship system announced. Below her, a small human colony appeared. Metal buildings stood in neat lines across a rocky surface. Not a military base. It looked more like a mining settlement. Her ship crashed just outside the colony walls. The impact was violent. Metal screamed. Glass shattered. Everything went dark. When Lyra opened her eyes again, she expected to be surrounded by enemies. She expected pain. She expected death. Instead, she saw a human face. A young man leaned over her. His clothes were dirty with grease and dust. He looked more like a mechanic than a soldier. "You're awake," he said softly. Lyra tried to move, but pain shot through her side. She realized her armor was cut open. Her skin was exposed. In her species, that was a sign of weakness. She tried to reach for a weapon, but there was none. "Easy," the human said. "You're hurt. Don't move too fast." Lyra stared at him, confused. "Why? Am I alive?" she asked. The human blinked. "Because you crashed, and you needed help." "I am your enemy," she said. He shrugged. "Right now, you're just someone bleeding on my table." Lyra did not understand his words. His logic felt strange. Her people would never help a wounded enemy. "What is your name?" she asked. "Ethan," he said. "Ethan Cole. I fix engines, doors, robots, anything that breaks. Today, that includes you." Lyra watched him carefully. "You should report me," she said. "Your soldiers will want me dead." Ethan paused. For a moment, his face grew serious. "If they find you here, they probably will," he admitted. "Then, why hide me?" He picked up a small medical tool and continued working on her wound. "Because war already takes enough lives," he said quietly. "I don't need to add one more." Lyra had no answer to that. Days passed. Ethan kept her hidden in a small repair room behind the main workshop. It smelled of oil and metal. Tools hung on the walls. A small heater hummed in the corner. Every day he brought her food and water. He cleaned her wounds. He never asked for anything in return. Lyra watched him constantly. She studied the way he spoke, the way he worked, the way he treated other humans. He was kind to everyone. Even when he was tired, he helped others fix their broken machines. One day, she finally asked, "Why are humans like this?" Ethan looked up from a broken engine part. "Like what?" "You help even your enemies," she said. "That is not logical." He smiled a little. "Maybe not," he said. "But it's human." She tilted her head. "Your species is at war with mine. You should hate me." Ethan thought for a moment. "I don't hate you," he said. "I don't even know you." Lyra was silent. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. One evening, the colony alarms suddenly screamed to life. Red lights flashed across the walls. Ethan froze. "That's not a drill." Explosions sounded in the distance. The ground trembled under their feet. Lyra's eyes widened. "Those are not human weapons." Ethan rushed to the door and looked outside. Ships were descending from the sky-dark shapes, with glowing engines. Lyra recognized them instantly. "They are from my species," she said. "A strike fleet." Ethan turned back to her. "Why would they attack this place?" Lyra felt a cold weight in her chest. "This colony sits near a supply route," she said. "To them, it is only a target." Another explosion shook the building. Dust fell from the ceiling.
People?
Some were shouting, some were running. Others were trying to help the wounded. Ethan grabbed a small glowing crystal from his work table. It pulsed with blue light. He pressed it into Lyra's hand. "If something happens," he said, "take this. It holds my repair codes and personal logs. It's not very important, but it's all I've got." Lyra looked at the crystal, confused. "Why give this to me?" He gave a small, nervous smile. "Because you might be the only one who makes it out alive." Before she could respond, another explosion rocked the co. The human transport ship drifted silently through space. Inside, survivors sat in silence. Some were injured. Some were crying. Others just stared at nothing. Lyra stood near the back wall, apart from the others. No one spoke to her. No one came close. They knew what she was, an alien, the enemy. But they also remembered something else. She had helped carry the wounded onto the ship. She had lifted heavy debris no human could move. She had not attacked. Still, fear remained. Through the small window, Lyra watched the colony disappear behind them. Smoke still rose from its surface. Small flashes of light showed that the attack was not fully over. Her species had not shown mercy. Her fingers tightened around Ethan's crystal. It still glowed softly. A human medic approached her carefully. He looked tired but calm. "You're the one Ethan hid, right?" he asked. Lyra looked at him slowly. Yes. The medic nodded once. He believed in strange things. "What things?" she asked. "That enemies can become friends," he replied. Lyra had no answer. Hours later, the transport reached a larger human station in orbit around a distant moon. The survivors were taken off the ship. Medical teams rushed to help them. Lyra stepped. Outlast, human soldiers were waiting. Weapons were raised. A female officer stepped forward. "You will come with us peacefully." Lyra did not resist. "I have no weapon," she said quietly. They placed energy restraints around her wrists and escorted her into a secure room. For many hours, they questioned her. "Why were your ships there? What is your rank? Is more of your fleet coming?" Lyra answered honestly. It was a supply strike. The colony was not a military threat. "Did you call the fleet?" the officer asked sharply. "No," Lyra said. "They did not know I was there." The officer studied her face. "Then why were you there?" Lyra looked down at the crystal in her hand. "I crashed," she said. "A human saved me." The room fell silent. After some time, the questioning ended. The humans locked her inside a holding cell. She sat alone on a metal bench. For the first time since the attack, there was no noise, no explosions, no screams, only silence. She closed her eyes. Memories came back clearly. Ethan smiling while fixing a broken engine. Ethan offering her water. Ethan running into fire without fear. Her species had taught her that emotions were weakness. Attachment was dangerous. Loyalty must belong only to the Dominion. But Ethan had shown her something else. Kindness without reason. Days passed. Finally, a human commander entered her cell. He looked older, serious, but not cruel. "We reviewed the survivors' reports," he said. "They say you helped." Lyra remained silent. The commander crossed his arms. "You understand we can't?" "Simply release you." "I understand," she replied. He paused before speaking again. "Your fleet destroyed that colony. Hundreds are dead." "I know," Lyra said softly. "Then why did you help us?" Lyra looked up at him. "'Cause one human once helped me." The commander studied her for a long moment. "We're arranging a prisoner exchange," he said finally. "You'll be returned to your people." Lyra felt a strange heaviness inside her. Return to her species. To the Dominion. To judgment. When the day came, she was transferred to a neutral space station between human and alien territory. A Dominion warship arrived to collect her. As she stepped aboard, alien officers stared at her with cold eyes. "You were found inside, enemy." "Space," one officer said. "Explain." "My ship crashed," she answered. "And why did you not return immediately?" Lyra hesitated. "Because I was saved. Because I was cared for. Because I learned something." But those words would sound weak. "I was injured," she said instead. The officer did not look convinced. Back in Dominion territory, Lyra was brought before a military tribunal, high-ranking. Leaders stood in a dark chamber filled with cold blue light. "You were discovered on a human transport ship," one elder said. "Is this true?" "Yes. You assisted humans during a battle." "Yes." Murmurs spread across the chamber. "That is a violation of Dominion code." Lyra stood straight. "They were civilians." They are enemies, the elder replied sharply. Lyra's voice stayed calm. One human saved my life. Silence filled the room. Another elder spoke. Emotional attachment to enemy species is forbidden. Lyra felt her heart beat faster. Still, she did not lower her head. He risked his life for me, she said, without hesitation. And he is dead now, the elder replied. The words felt like a blade. Yes, she whispered. You will continue your service, the elder declared. But you are to avoid all contact with humans. The Dominion prepares for a larger war. The session ended. Lyra walked alone through the metallic halls of her ship. Outside the window, stars stretched endlessly. She opened her hand and looked at the crystal. It still glowed. Her people believed. Humans were weak, but she had seen the truth. Humans stood alone against impossible odds. Humans protected strangers. Humans chose kindness, even in war. And deep inside her, something changed forever. She could not forget. And one day, she knew she would return, not as an enemy, but to honor a promise. Years passed, but the memory never faded. Commander Lyra stood on the command deck of her warship, staring out at the cold stars. The ship moved smoothly through deep space, silent and powerful, just like every vessel of the Dominion to the rest of the crew. She was a perfect officer, calm, logical, obedient. She followed every order. She completed every mission without hesitation. Her name became respected among the fleet. Younger pilots spoke about her with admiration, but none of them knew the truth. None of them knew about the crystal she kept hidden. Inside a small compartment near her control seat, none of them knew about the human named Ethan. Lyra reached into the compartment and pulled the crystal out. It still glowed with the same soft blue light. She had never activated the data inside it. Part of her feared what she might find, but another part of her felt it was time. She placed the crystal into the ship's console. A soft tone sounded. The crystal lit up brighter. A small holographic image appeared in front of her. It was Ethan. He looked the same as she remembered: dusty clothes, tired eyes, and a gentle smile. Log entry: the recording began. Ethan Cole, repair technician, Outer Colony 7. Lyra felt her chest tightened. If anyone finds this, the recording continued. It means things didn't go well. That's okay. War's been rough on everyone. Ethan scratched the back of his neck, looking slightly embarrassed. There's an alien in the workshop, he said quietly. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but she's hurt. And she didn't ask for this war any more than we did. Lyra's eyes widened. He had recorded this. She's not what they told us, he continued. She's scared, confused, just trying to survive, kind of like the rest of us. He looked directly into the camera. If someone finds this after I'm gone, just remember something. Not every alien is a monster, and not every human is a hero. But sometimes we can help each other. The recording ended. Lyra stood frozen. Her people had always described humans as violent, emotional, and dangerous. But Ethan's message was simple: help each other. She closed the recording and stared at the crystal. At that moment, a message appeared on her main screen. Dominion Command. New orders. She opened the file. A list of targets. Appeared: human colonies, trade stations, medical outposts. One of them caught her attention. Earth, Strategic Observation Zone. Her heart beat faster. Earth, the home world of humans. The planet, Ethan. Had come from a voice message followed. Commander Lyra, the Dominion officer, said, "You will join the outer patrol near the human homeworld. Your duty is to observe and report. No communication with humans is allowed. Direct contact is forbidden under Dominion law." Lyra listened silently. Forbidden. That word echoed in her mind. After the message ended, she looked back at the crystal. Ethan's face still lived inside it. His voice still carried warmth. He had saved her life, and she had never said thank you. She walked slowly to the observation window. In the distance, a blue planet rotated peacefully. Earth so close, her training told her to follow orders. Her species valued discipline above everything. Obedience meant survival. Disobedience meant punishment. Or worse, she knew the law well. Unauthorized contact with humans. Treason, landing on Earth. Capital offense. Honoring a human. Unthinkable. But as she looked at the blue planet, she remembered the burning colony, the smoke, the fear, and Ethan running into the fire. He had broken every rule of war to save her. He had not asked what species she was. He had only seen someone in need. Lyra's fingers tightened around the crystal. "I never thanked you," she whispered. A young officer entered the command deck. "Commander, patrol coordinates are ready," he said. "We will remain in high orbit around the human world." Lyra nodded slowly. "Prepare the ship," she said, "up, but delay the patrol formation." The officer looked confused. "Delay, Commander." "Yes, I will conduct a solo descent first." His eyes widened. "Commander, that would violate Dominion law." "I am aware," she said calmly. He hesitated. "Should I report this to command?" Lyra turned toward him. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were firm. "No," she said. "You will follow my orders." The officer swallowed and nodded. "Yes, Commander." After he left, Lyra stood, alone again. The blue planet filled the window now. White clouds moved slowly over its surface. It looked peaceful, alive, very different from the cold metal worlds of the Dominion. Lyra activated the ship's private log, personal record. She said, "Commander Lyra." She paused for a moment. "Today, I will break Dominion law. Not for war. Not for victory." Lyra's ship broke through Earth's clouds just before sunrise. Golden light spread across the horizon. The ocean below reflected the sky like a mirror. For a brief moment, the world looked calm and untouched by war. But space above Earth was not calm. Dominion warships dropped out of hyperspace one by one. Massive, dark shapes surrounded the planet. Their engines glowed like red stars. Weapon systems powered up. On Earth, human defense alarms screamed across continents. Military satellites locked onto the alien fleet. Missile silos opened. Fighter jets prepared for launch. In orbit, tension filled the vacuum like a storm waiting to explode. Inside her cockpit, Lyra received an incoming transmission. The face of High Commander Veros appeared on her screen. His expression was cold and sharp. "Commander Lyra," he said, his voice echoing through the ship. "You are in direct violation of Dominion law." "I am aware," she replied calmly. "You were ordered to remain in high orbit. Instead, you descended to the human surface without permission." "Yes. Explain your actions." Lyra did not hesitate. "I have come to honor a fallen human." Silence followed. Behind Veros, other Dominion leaders whispered in anger. "You risk interstellar conflict for a dead enemy," Veros asked. "He was not my enemy," Lyra said. "He saved my life." Veros's eyes narrowed. "Your emotional attachment clouds your judgment." "No," she answered. "It has cleared it." Before he could respond, another signal interrupted the channel. This one was human. A human admiral appeared on a separate screen. His uniform was dark blue. Its expression was serious but controlled. "This is Admiral Hayes of Earth Defense." "Command," he said. "Alien fleet. You are within restricted orbit. State your intentions immediately." Veros turned his attention to the human. "We are here to retrieve one of our own," he said. Stand down, and no harm will come to your planet." Admiral Hayes did not lower his gaze. "You entered our space with armed warships," he replied. "That does not look peaceful." Lyra stepped forward into view. "Admiral," she said clearly, "I came alone. My fleet followed without permission." The Admiral studied her face. "You're the one who landed earlier," he said. "The one at the memorial." "Yes, T. And now your fleet threatens us." "They threaten me," she corrected softly. Above Earth, Dominion ships shifted formation. Their weapons glowed brighter. Human defense platforms locked targets. One mistake, one sudden movement. Wararosa's voice cut through the tension. "Commander Lyra, return to your ship immediately. Surrender for trial. If you refuse, we will remove you by force." Lyra knew what that meant. They would attack Earth, if necessary. She opened a private channel to Veros. "If you fire on this planet," she said quietly, "you prove everything the humans believe about us." "They are our enemies," Veros replied. "They were mine too," she said. "Until one of them chose mercy." Varos's patience was gone. "You will surrender now." Lyra looked out at Earth below her. She remembered Ethan running into the flames. She remembered his final words, "Humans, try to help." She switched to a public channel open to both fleets. "My name is Commander Lyra of the Dominion," she announced. "I broke our law to honor a human who saved my life during war. I did not come to fight." Human ships adjusted formation but did not fire. Dominion commanders watched silently. Lyra continued, "The human named Ethan Cole could have killed me. Instead, he healed me. He protected me. He died saving others." She held up the glowing crystal. "This contains his final message. It speaks of peace, not hatred." Varos interrupted angrily. "End this transmission." Lyra ignored him. "If punishment is required, I will accept it," she said. "But I ask one thing. Do not let gratitude become a reason for war." The silence that followed felt endless. Human fingers hovered over weapon controls. Dominion gunners waited for firing commands. Admiral Hayes spoke first. "Commander Lyra," he said carefully, "if you surrender to your fleet, will they withdraw?" Lyra knew the truth. "Only if they see that humans are not the monsters they fear." Varos's face appeared again. "You disgrace your uniform," he said coldly. No, Lyra replied. "I honor it." Without waiting for permission, she powered down her ship's weapons completely. Her vessel went dark in orbit. A risky move. To both sides, it showed trust. Veros hesitated. Dominion commanders murmured among themselves. Some argued for immediate attack. Others questioned why a loyal officer would sacrifice everything for a single human. On Earth, radar systems continued tracking targets. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, Veros spoke again. "All Dominion ships hold fire." The red glow of their weapons dimmed slightly. Admiral Hayes responded carefully. "Earth defense, maintain position, do not engage." The stars above Earth remained tense but silent. Lyra exhaled slowly. She knew this was not over. She would face trial. She would likely lose her rank, maybe even her life. But Earth was still safe. For now. Varos's final words reached her through the channel. "You will return to our flagship immediately. Your fate will be decided by the Council." Lyra looked one last time at the blue planet. "For Ethan," she whispered. Then she guided her powerless ship toward the massive Dominion flagship waiting above. The price of gratitude was coming, and she was ready to pay it. The Dominion flagship was silent when Lyra arrived. Its massive doors opened slowly. like the mouth of a great metal beast. Her small ship drifted inside and locked into place. Armed guards waited on the landing platform. Lyra stepped out calmly. She removed her command badge and placed it on the floor before them. "I surrender," she said. The guards said nothing. They escorted her through long metallic corridors toward the council chamber. Outside, above Earth, Dominion warships remained in position. Human fleets held their ground. No one trusted the silence. Inside the chamber, the Dominion Council waited. Tall figures stood in a half-circle under cold blue lights. High Commander Veros stood at the center. "Commander Lyra," Veros began, "you stand accused of treason, emotional corruption, and unauthorized contact with the human species." Lyra stood straight. "I accept the charges." Murmurs filled. The Chamber.1 elder stepped forward. "You endangered the Dominion for a single human." "Yes," Lyra replied. "Explain why your life should not be ended." Lyra held the glowing crystal in her hand. "Because the human you call an enemy showed more honor than we did." The chamber grew quiet. Varos's voice hardened. "You speak of weakness. I speak of strength." Lyra answered. She activated the crystal. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. Ethan's image flickered to life. "Log entry," he said, smiling nervously. "If someone finds this, it means things didn't go well." The council watched in silence. Ethan's message continued. He spoke about helping even in war. He spoke about seeing a person instead of an enemy. He spoke about hope when the recording ended. The chamber remained still. Lyra looked at the council. "He saved me when he had no reason to," she said. "He protected civilians while our fleet destroyed his home. He chose courage when fear would have been easier." An elder spoke. "Softly, humans fight fiercely. They resist our expansion. They cost us resources." "Yes," Lyra said, "because they defend each other." She stepped forward. "If we attack Earth today, they will not surrender. They will fight until nothing remains, and they will inspire others to resist us." Voros narrowed his eyes. "You argue from emotion. I argue from truth." She replied. She turned slightly so the council could see Earth through the chamber's wide observation window. The blue planet looked small, but bright. "They are strong because they protect even strangers," Lyra continued. "That strength is not weakness. It is why they survive." Silence spread across the chamber. Outside, human and Dominion fleets still faced each other. Finally, one of the eldest council members spoke. "We have reviewed battle reports from past engagements with humans," the elder said slowly. "They show unusual cooperation between their factions. High civilian defense participation. High sacrifice rates." Another elder added, "They fight not for conquest, but for protection." Veros looked frustrated. "Are we now praising our enemies?" Lyra answered before anyone else could. "Not praising," she said. "Understanding." The chamber lights dimmed slightly as the council entered private discussion mode. Low voices echoed across hidden channels. Lyra stood alone in the center. She knew her fate was uncertain. Execution was still possible. Minutes passed. Then the lights returned to normal. The eldest council member stepped forward. "Commander Lyra." The elder said, "Your actions violated Dominion law. However, your evidence presents strategic importance." Veros looked surprised. The elder continued. "The human species demonstrates a trait that strengthens alliances and resistance. Direct war with Earth may result in prolonged conflict and heavy losses." Lyra held her breath. "Therefore," the elder said, "the Council declares Earth a protected observation world. Direct attack is suspended indefinitely." Shock moved across the chamber. Varos clenched his fists but remained silent. Lyra felt something inside her chest loosened for the first time since the colony fell. "And what of Commander Lyra?" Veros asked. The Elder looked at her carefully. "You will be stripped of frontline command," the Elder said. "But you will not be executed." A quiet wave of surprise spread among the officers. "You will serve as Dominion Ambassador for Human Relations," the Elder finished. "Your understanding of their nature will be useful." Lyra lowered her head slightly. "I accept." Outside, Dominion ships slowly powered down their way.